So let's talk about a question that most people don't really think about when they start to get their first job. On this channel, I have a lot of young viewers. One of my most popular videos is how to make passive income as a teenager. So I know that 401ks may not be super popular, but for those who do plan on getting a job, especially after going to college, this is going to be some information that you want to know. If we haven't met already, my name is Anfernee McLemore. I make videos about personal finance, investing, and side hustles. And if you think you'll find any kind of value in this video, then tap the like button for your boy, as it really does help the channel out. But going into the 401k conversation, I want to take some time in this video to talk about exactly how much money you should have per age group in your 401k. Now you may be looking at me crazy thinking, Anfernee, I don't even know what a 401k is. Why would I put my hard-earned money into it? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Well, the first thing I want to tell you is what a 401k is. And to make it completely simple and to try to not overwhelm you with information, what a 401k is a tax advantage account that takes before tax dollars from your salary or paycheck in general and puts it into a retirement savings account that's actually an investment account, so that once you retire, you can then have access to that money. Now, the next question that you would have, or that I had, was that, is this any different from a regular savings account? Why do I need to get it taken out automatically from my paycheck? And the first answer to that question is going to be for the tax advantage reasons. Because you're going to be putting in before tax dollars, what this means in a 401k sense is that it's going to be lowering your taxable income at the end of the year. For example, if you made $100,000 gross in the year and you put $20,000 into your 401k, when it comes time to pay Uncle Sam, in his eyes, you would have only made $80,000 that year. And thereby paying tax on the $80,000 instead of the $100,000, you are lowering your tax bill in that year. The only caveat to this is that when you actually get ready to use that money in retirement 30, 40, 50 years later, that is when Uncle Sam is going to get his percentage. It's not like you're never going to get taxed on it at all. It's just going to be a delayed tax on your 401k contributions. And with that out of the way, let's talk about how much money you should actually have given each age group. And the first age group is going to cover 25 and under. Now, a lot of this data was actually given to me and I used my own personal experience to see how accurate it was, but it is recommended that for people 25 and under, that you should have at least $10,000 in your 401k, with the average amount that Americans have in their 401k at 25 and under is $7,351. And I would say that this number is low for the reason that most professionals don't actually get out of college until the age of 22 or 23. Given that the first couple years in the workforce, you may be saving up to buy a house, you may be starting a family. Most people may not necessarily prioritize contributing to their 401k at this point in your life. And I am 1 year past this stage at 26, but I do believe that this stage is more of the foundation series of investing. You're not necessarily going to be worried about how much money you have, because if you retire right now, it wouldn't do anything for you. But what it is going to be doing, as watching this video does, is helping to familiarize yourself with the process, being comfortable with money getting taken out of your check, knowing how to budget for taxes. All of this stuff is important in the 25 and under stage. And once you get to the 26-year-old to 34-year-old age range is when you're going to actually start building up a good foundation for your retirement expenses. And at this point, from the age of 25 to 34, it is recommended that you have at least 1 times your annual salary in your 401k. And it is also important to note, because I didn't mention this earlier, that the federal government does limit how much you can actually put into your 401k each year, with it being in 2024, that limitation being about $23,000. So you just can't put $1 million into it and expect not to pay taxes. There are some limitations to how much you can put into it, but not quite as strict as limitations for a Roth IRA, which I talk about in other videos. But to have 1 times your annual salary in your 401k with an average salary of about $60,000 means that it is recommended you have $60,000 in your 401k by the age of 34. And I will be using the average salary of $60,000 for all of my estimates in this video, as well as these numbers are not necessarily going to be adjusted for inflation, meaning that these recommendations are for the year 2024. It's not going to be the exact same number in 50 years if you want to see how much money you should have by the age of 74. Hopefully, I don't know how realistically that may be, that your salary does increase with inflation, so that in 50 years, if I say you should have 1 times your annual salary in a 401k account, that may mean that $60,000 in 2024 could be $120,000 in 2074. You never know. But as I said, these numbers are not going to be adjusted for inflation. And what it means to have $60,000 is that you're going to be putting in a little over $6,000 a year for 9 or 10 years into your 401k account, which means that you're going to be withdrawing about $500 a month from your gross salary for 401k purposes. And honestly, I would be the first to say that when I was first contributing to my 401k, I did not see $500 as a realistic goal for me to achieve back when I was 22, 23 years old. But these days, most companies do have some favorable match programs, meaning that if you contribute 5% to your 401k, they may match it 5%. So in a $60 $60,000 salary example, if you contributed 5% of your salary in a year to your 401k with a company that had a 5% match, this means that you would contribute $3,000 to your 401k and your company would match $3,000 to your 401k for a total annual contribution of $6,000. And if you did this every single year, not even adjusting for raises or inflation, at the end of 10 years, you would reach that $60,000 or 1 times your annual salary goal. Hopefully, as you go through the years, you will get a little bit of bump in pay each year, as well as you will have some investment gains each year. And this will allow you to have more than just your principal in your 401k account, but also some investment gains in there as well. However, if you move on to the age range of 35-year-olds to 44-year-olds, it is recommended that you have 3 times your annual salary, or in this example, $180,000 in your 401k account. And I don't know if I mentioned in the previous section, but the average 401k account from 25 to 34-year-olds is going to be $37,557. However, the average 401k balance from 35 to 44-year-olds is going to be $91,281. Now, at this point, you may be looking at your balance and thinking, $90,000, man, that's a lot of money. And honestly, when I was a kid, I was taught that having $100,000 pretty much meant you were rich. But now I realize that $90,000 can get you a 20% down payment on a pretty standard home in the state of Alabama, but really not much else, especially if you're talking about retirement purpose. When you are thinking about retirement, you want to realistically project how much money that you will need to live each year for the rest of your life. A good way to do this is by using the 4% rule, or you can be a little bit more aggressive and use the 7% rule. And what this rule states is that you will be able to live off either 4% or 7% of your principal balance every single year for the rest of your life. This is determined by calculating the average investment growth over the last 20 or 30 years and then taking a percentage of that growth out for living purposes. And a good way to backtrack into this is, let's say you only need $40,000 a year in order to live a simple lifestyle. If you needed $40,000 and you want to live on 4% of your portfolio, that means that your portfolio will need to be valued at $1 million in order for you to take 4% of that out each year for the rest of your life. And if this portfolio had a 7% growth rate, you would actually be gaining money over time. And then if you want to use the 7% rule, the math is exactly the same. You would take $40,000 and divide it by 7%, and that means that you only have to have a portfolio of $571,428 in order to live on this portfolio for the rest of your life. I think that the 7% rule is a little bit unrealistic in the grand scheme of things, but that $1 million number is what I want you to keep in mind when hearing the rest of these numbers. But moving on to the age range of 45-year-olds to 54-year-olds, it is recommended that you now have 6 times your annual salary in your 401k, or for example, a $360,000 plus balance. Now, if this number seems a little bit far-fetched, that is because it may be, because the average 401k balance between this age group only sits at $168,646. So as you can see, as a country, most people are behind the expectations of what they should be, meaning that most people are not saving enough money for retirement, so that when retirement comes around, most people will be dependent on Social Security benefits, which may not actually be around when it's time for us to retire. I am not a financial expert. These videos are for entertainment purposes only, but even I can see that Social Security is already overdrawn in 2024. And with me being a 26-year-old paying into Social Security right now, I know that the money that I'm paying from my paycheck into Social Security is basically a donation. And by the time I turn 65, I don't think that there's much of a chance that I will ever redeem those benefits. But to each his own. I know different people have different opinions about this. However, moving on to the next age range of 55-year-olds to 64-year-olds. So those people right on the brink of retirement, it is recommended that you have at least 8 times your annual salary in your 401k, or a recommended balance of $480,000. And if you want to know what the average balance is in this age range, that is going to be $244,750. Now, I personally think that this number is being skewed a lot here. I think that the people that actually did a good job saving for their 401k for 30 or 40 years actually have million plus balances in their 401k, and the people that didn't save for their 401k have an average balance of less than $100,000. I didn't get a chance to look at the median numbers here, but I would be shocked if most people had $250,000 plus in their 401k. I think that the outliers are definitely pulling this average number up, and saying that the average person has 250 grand in the 401k seems a little bit unrealistic in my opinion. However, once you get to the ripe age of 65, it is recommended that you have 10 times your annual salary in your 401k, or $600,000, with the average person in the United States only having $272,588 in their 401k. Like I said, I think the outliers are pulling this number up a lot. However, that is just my opinion. I would definitely have to look at some more data to confirm this. But what I think about is that even at the recommended balance of $600,000, the chances that you will be able to live on $600,000 for 40 plus years after working for 40 plus years, I think personally is going to be extremely slim. If you didn't invest your money and you just want to live on that principal balance, $600,000 divided by an annual expense of $40,000 per year would get you about $15 15 years worth of money before you ran out. Now, I realize that that example is a little primitive, but the point still stands that maybe that math is a little bit broken. I personally don't want to have to hope and depend on the government once I reach retirement age. That is why I preach so much financial freedom here on the channel. I preach diversify your assets, investing in real estate, building a business so that you can build multiple $million-dollar nest eggs instead of only relying on your W-2 for your sole funnel of income and then hoping when everything is all said and done. However, if you found any kind of value in this video, then tap that like button for your boy, as well as subscribe if you want to see more content like this. As I said, I am doing a behind the scenes day-by-day journey on TikTok of getting this YouTube channel to 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to support over there, then by all means click over there, as well as subscribe here so that we can get this channel to 100,000 subscribers. And I want to put my silver play button somewhere in the background of all my videos. However, I really appreciate you watching all the way until the end of this video, and until next time, guys, peace.